What is up, faithful? It's Victory Monday. Victory Monday. It's playoff season. Playoffs are on deck, and it's Victory Monday. What's up, everybody? Let's go. I'm hyped up. I can't believe it. It's finally playoffs. What's up, everybody? How the heck are we feeling? It is Victory Monday. Victory Monday. It's always good when we win a game. The Niners have done it 10 times in a row. But more importantly, it's playoff season. The regular season's over. Throw the record out the book. And now it's time to shift focus on the playoffs. And you know what's crazy? During this time of the year, it's also when head coaches get fired. Today's Black Monday, as they call it. Coaches get fired. And the teams that fire those coaches are looking for new head coaches and GMs and everybody like that. 49ers, because they're winning and they're doing great, everybody wants a piece of their team. So there were some reports about D'Amico Ryans and Adam Peters and Ron Carthon, our executives, that they're getting, permission to get interviews for other teams. So we may be losing some coaches or executives on our team. It happens every year. If you win, people want a piece of you. They want to copy you, right? It's copycat league. So we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about the dub, Victory Monday. I'm hyped up. I'm excited. We got a short week, and then we play Seattle Seahawks for the third time this year. I know a lot of people are kind of scared to play the Seahawks. I don't know. I'm not too scared. I mean, it is what it is. You got to play these opponents. If you're going to want to win a Super Bowl, you got to go through all these opponents, right? You got to go out there and play who you got to play. You shouldn't be scared to play anybody. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I think that, the Niners have the best team in the NFC. I think they got to go out there and prove it. They have some of the best players at each position. They got probably the defensive player of the year. You got a head coach of the year candidate, executive of the year candidate in John Lynch. I mean, you have George Kittle, who's been amazing. Fred Warner, so many good players on this team, man. And they got Brock Purdy, who's just taken over the league. So it's going to be a fun playoffs, right? One thing that, may impact this game is the weather. It's been raining a lot. It's been very overcast for the last couple of weeks. It's raining a lot this morning. There's floods all over the Bay Area. So that's going to impact the game. But the thing that really will help this team, the Niners, going into a playoff run, and I know, again, that we're playing a team for the third time this season. We did it last year, and a lot of people are worried because they beat the Rams twice. And then in the NFC Championship game for the third time, they lost when it mattered. The 49ers are at home this time. Although I know Levi South is a home game technically because we take over their stadium. But it's a home game. The Seahawks have to travel to the 49ers. They have to come to Levi Stadium. 49ers don't have to travel. That travel is going to hurt the Seahawks. It's going to hurt them a lot. It's going to make them, weaker and tired. And having to travel, it's going to be rainy. That's going to be a little bit of an advantage for the 49ers is they don't have to travel. They're chilling. They're at home. They got the home crowd. It's going to be a takeover, as it always is. It's going to be Niners just going crazy in that stadium. Fans have been absolutely amazing this season. And, we take over other stadiums, but in our own stadium, it's like a crazy vibe. The vibes are insane in Levi Stadium. So we'll see what happens. Reyes says Purdy might be nervous and the weather might favor Seattle. The weather may favor Seattle because they're used to the rain and everything. I know a lot of people are saying Purdy's going to be nervous, things of that nature. But, hey, Geno Smith, I haven't seen him do anything in the playoffs. Is he going to be nervous? It is going to be a test for a rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy. So far, he's been super poised throughout his career, his short career he's played. Hasn't lost a game. He's been very, very calm and very poised. So that's something I really noticed, and a lot of people have. So is Brock Purdy going to be nervous? I don't know. The playoffs are a different atmosphere. Pete Carroll, he's a great coach. He's going to bring the kitchen sink, and he's going to bring over a lot of pressure. They're going to try to get to Brock. So I definitely think that it's going to be a different atmosphere for Brock and the 49ers, because teams are going to want to get to him. It's never been done, winning a Super Bowl with the rookie quarterback. The first time for everything. So we'll see. Hopefully, Brock Purdy stays confident like he has been all season. As long as he's got George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, I don't think that he, is going to have any issues. Those two guys have really changed the game for this team. Brock Purdy and Kittle, it's a crazy dynamic duo. And then you got Christian McCaffrey. Ever since he's come in, his offense has been off the hook. They're scoring 33.5 points a game since Brock Purdy took over as quarterback. It's crazy. They were averaging like 20-something a game, like 22 points a game, I think, at one point, 22. And now they're at 33.5. That is a huge jump. That is a huge difference in, amount of points a game. Offense has been scoring in the red zone. You have George Kittle there, and Purdy's looking for him all the time. He knows linebackers can't stop him. Nobody can stop George Kittle. Get him the ball. We've been screaming all year, throw George Kittle the ball, and they're doing it. So moving forward, though, it's going to be an exciting game, and it's going to be a tough test for Purdy. It's his first playoff game of his career. So, but they have played some big games through the weeks, and I think that'll help him be battle-tested. Team's getting relatively healthy. Today, Kyle Shanahan was talking with media, and he reported all the injury updates. Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel, they came out of the game with no setbacks. They're completely healthy, which is great. Elijah Mitchell was solid last night. They got Deebo involved a little bit. Got the rust knocked out, the rust kind of off of his treads. So it was nice to see Deebo get a little bit of action yesterday, and they were both healthy. So good news there. Dre Greenlaw and Aaron Banks both should be back in practice this week. That is really good news, actually. Aaron Banks had a back injury. Aaron Banks had the knee and ankle sprain. They thought it was an MCL, but it looks like he dodged a bullet. They should be back in practice this week. We need them both. Aaron Banks has been a revelation this year. So good at left guard with Trent on that left side. And and Dre Greenlaw, man, the guy's been a stud. He's the Seahawks killer. So hopefully Dre Greenlaw is back in action this week. But he will be back in practice. Good news. Kevin Givens, he's good to go. He'll be back. That's great for the D-line depth. As many guys as you can throw in the middle, the better. We need to stop the run. Seattle, if they can run on the Niners, it's going to be a long day. So Kevin Givens coming back is going to help the D-line, help that group, and just help stuff whatever Seattle tries to do up the middle, and be like a little plug there. So good to know, man. I like Kevin Givens. He's an underrated player. So another guy that is on the injury report, pretty much the only injury that came about yesterday, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, linebacker. He has a neck strain. He's day-to-day. The great news is the 49ers have really good linebacker depth. Oren Burks came in. He's been a solid backup and special teamer. So they have Dre Greenlaw most likely coming back this week, Fred Warner. So if Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles is out this week, it's not the biggest loss. Niners have good depth at linebacker. So relatively good news. Linebackers, are getting healthy. The team's getting healthy. We're kind of being healthy at the right time. Not only that, but Christian McCaffrey said his ankle felt good. He ran a lot yesterday. He did a lot of work. And, on a sprained ankle, mild sprain, according to last week, he went through the week. They limited him, did practice one day. He played yesterday, and he said he didn't have any issues. So the team's pretty healthy. You got to love it. So what's up, Fios God, Rhea, my man Jimmy Robinson, time to avenge for 2013. Time to avenge for 2013 and 2019 and 2021. We got a couple of years to avenge for. A lot of years. I think this is the team that can do it, but we'll see. Reyes says, I think they gave the 49ers the first game of the season because they think it's going to be a blowout. I think so, too. I think the Niners are expected to go out there and dog walk Seattle, right? They are expected. They're a 9.5-point favorite. Now, it's not guaranteed. I don't think we're going to sit there and blow them out by any stretch of the nature, but you never know. The Niners are, on paper, if you look at this team, they're the better team. They whooped Seattle this season in both games. I don't even think Seattle sniffed 17 points in each of those games. Like the Niners crushed them both games. So if the Niners play the game that they should play and they're capable of, if they played the way they played in that second half yesterday against the Cardinals, Seattle's not even going to touch them. But again, any given Sunday, Saturday, Monday, and it's the playoffs. It's a whole different ballgame. You throw a regular season out the window. It's going to be competitive. Pete Carroll, good coach. He knows how to play the Niners. So I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to blow them out, but I am confident that the 49ers are going to win this weekend. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of, let's go into this, coaching situation. There's been a lot of head coaches that got fired today and this week. Black Monday, as they call it. Cliff Kingsbury got fired from the Cardinals. He signed an extension this offseason. Crazy. The GM stepped down for health reasons. I think it's tied together. I think he was like, okay, they're going to fire him. I'm out. I don't want anything to do with this. And, they got rid of the regime, and now the Cardinals can start over. They're saying that Kyler Murray's going to have some type of say on who they hire. So they're looking at all candidates. And one of the big candidates on a lot of the teams is the DeMeco Ryans, right? So DeMeco Ryans, I think the Broncos have asked to get an interview with DeMeco. The Broncos are a team that are looking for a head coach. That's one guy. The Texans have requested permission to interview DeMeco Ryans, although according to Aaron Wilson, that even though they've requested an interview, DeMeco Ryans is not expected to pursue this opening at this time, according to sources. This is from Aaron Wilson, reporter. So DeMeco is very highly sought after coach. The Broncos have requested him, and so have the Texans. I'm sure that the Cardinals are going to request them as well. That's just what I feel. I think every team is going to every team that needs a job, a head coaching position filled, I think they're going to try to go after DeMeco. Now, another person on the Niners that is the teams are trying to get is their assistant GM, Adam Peters. So the Cardinals and the Titans have requested interviews with Adam Peters and Rand Carthon for their vacant GM position. So the Cardinals have a vacant GM position. The Titans have a vacant GM position. And both of those teams are trying to get either Adam Peters or Rand Carthon from the 49ers. So everybody wants a piece of the 49ers, man. And good teams, that's what happens. Everybody wants your coaching staff, your executives, whatever the case is. It is unfortunate, especially if we lose a guy like Adam Peters. He's been such a good talent scout. He helps get a lot of those late round picks. I think him and Lynch need each other. Lynch is he's the kind of the voice. He's kind of the guy that speaks. He's a great speaker. And then you got Peters. He's kind of like the brains of the operation. You need them both to coexist. It's going to be tough if they lose Peters. I think John Lynch has been a phenomenal GM, but I think Adam Peters being his assistant GM, that's kind of like his right-hand man. It's going to be tough to lose him. So who would they get to replace him? I don't know. We'll talk about that if it happens. Teams have been trying to get Adam Peters for a long time. I've been trying to get him for a long, long time. So we'll see, though. And then if they do lose DeMeco Ryans, the question is, who the heck is going to replace him? I see someone in the comments, I think Rhea says, can we get Vic Fangio back? That's a good question. Will they get Vic Fangio? I don't know. That's a guy that's been close to the 49ers. With John Lynch, they had him as a consultant this offseason. He's kept tabs with the 49ers. But there's been some talk that Sean Payton, if he comes back into coaching, that he would try to get Vic Fangio. So it definitely it's definitely going to be an interesting situation. I think Vic Fangio is a guy that they'd want to bring back as a DC to replace DeMeco because he's a great coach. He has good experience. He's a very well-respected defensive guy, and I think he'd be a natural replacement for Vic Fangio. But again, it's going to depend on who else wants Vic Fangio and the money. So if DeMeco leaves, they're going to have to go right. In my opinion, they're going to have to come in right away and say, okay, we need you. We're going to pay you right now. We don't want to worry. We don't want to wait for other offers that you're going to get. I think they're going to have to go right away. The moment DeMeco gets a job somewhere, which I think he will, they got to go right after their target. So there is a couple more updates coming. They're firing out tweets today. It's a crazy day today. Let's see. Albert Breer just tweeted out, the Texans and the Broncos have put in an interview for 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, per sources. It says, Ryans, who made good money as a player, has the flexibility to be choosy in where he takes his shot. I'd expect he will be. Last year, he pulled out of the Vikings search. So DeMeco really, this is a good report. So it's saying that, these teams, Texans and the Broncos, obviously we've reported on those today, that both of those teams have requested interviews for him, but he's made good money as a player. He's made good money as a DC and all those years. So it's not like he's hard-pressed to go after one of these jobs. He's going to be smart. He's going to take the best job for him. Last year, he turned down the Vikings job because he just didn't want it. It wasn't his vibe. And he wanted to come back, run it back with the Niners and get a little bit more experience and hopefully win a Super Bowl with this team. And I think that's what his goal is right now, is to help the 49ers win a Super Bowl. That's what he came back for last year. And if he wins a Super Bowl with the 49ers as the DC, his resume goes boom. and his price goes up. So he's smart. If the 49ers have a very good chance to win a Super Bowl. His defense has been the best in the NFL. So honestly, man, it's crazy. DeMeco, he's playing the smart. So we'll see. Hey, Peter Parker says, teams can request all they want. Doesn't mean that they're gone. We shouldn't even worry about all that yet. Let's get this damn Lombardi trophy. That's a good point. At the end of the day, all these teams can request all they want. All they want. But it really is up to the person. He's going to do his interviews. He's going to do his due diligence. And maybe they'll deny some interviews. I don't think the 49ers would deny any requests. If a team wants to interview him, I think they'll say, okay, go ahead and interview. But I think they'll be confident in DeMeco choosing what's right for himself. I mean, I don't think that they're going to block him in terms of interviewing with the team because, hey, the 49ers, they're loyal to their people, but they also want the best for their coaches and whatever they got to do to level up and upgrade in their life and their position, they'll let them do it. Like Salah, Mike McDaniel, they both were heavily touted when they were coaches for the 49ers, and they let them do their interviews and they let them go through their process. DeMeco last year, he was going to go and interview with the Vikings, like we said, but he turned it down. He said, I don't want it. He came back. So it was cool to see. So honestly, I think everybody's focused on winning a Super Bowl and winning these playoff games. It is a little distracting for us as fans and people that cover the team and everything. So it's tough, but I think DeMeco's not going to let it get to him. This defense definitely has been so good, and he's a big architect of it. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said maybe it is distracting him because these last 2 weeks, the defense hasn't been as elite. Maybe he is thinking about it. Maybe he is a little distracted because I mean, it is a good point. Maybe, who knows? But I don't think it's something that's, clouding his judgment and his play. I think the team got tired. I think that other teams, they're trying to put a target on the Niners, and they want to be the guys that come out and end the streak. Teams are going to play tough against the 49ers. You got pride out there. You want to play with pride. So I think DeMeco will clamp it up. I think he'll, get this team rock and rolling for the playoffs. If you watch that second half last night, that's the way I expect the 49ers to play. And that's how they've been playing for the most part during the season. Second half team. They let teams kind of hang around for 2 quarters. And then after that, boom, they're just too physical. They oppose their will. And teams can't outlast the 49ers. They're just too strong. So I think DeMeco will be all right. I think this defense will be good. And I think that's his goal is let's go run it back with this team. So we'll see. So I say we decline. My man God says, God's in the chat. Shout out to God. Says, I say we decline everything until after our season is done. All right now is just a distraction. See, and that's kind of what I was talking about is you can't really – these teams right now, they got nothing to play for. They have nothing to do. They got to do their interview processes because after the Super Bowl, that's when scouting starts. You got the Combine coming up. You got, the Senior Bowl. You got to have your kind of your coaching staff and your plan. These coaches aren't going to wait till after the Super Bowl after play. They don't care. Or these teams, not coaches, these teams, these GMs that are trying to look for a new coach, they don't care that you got a playoff run. They're like, look, we are sitting on the couch. We want to be where you are next year or whatever the case is. So they got to fill out their spots now. Like, this is the time. They're firing their coach. They're not going to sit on their thumbs. They got to do what they got to do. It is, it's a process. It's for teams like us that are in the playoffs and they're going through a Super Bowl run, hopefully. I mean, it's tough because we're like, man, can you just wait? Can you just wait? Those teams can't wait because February, boom, Senior Bowl. After the Super Bowl, they got to hit that scouting. They got to hit it hard. They got to make a draft plan. They got to hit their draft board. Free agent comes in March. They got to make sure they know how much money they have. Who do they want? What is their plan? What is their framework of their team? If they get a new coach, what is his mindset? What kind of team does he want to cultivate, right? Who are his top free agents on the market? So they can't wait. They can't wait. So it's a process. It may be a distraction for us, but for them, this is all they got to do. They got nothing better to do except sit around on the couch and call teams, hey, can we interview this guy? Can we interview DeMeco? Can we interview DeMeco? It's a process, and it's a crazy process. So will they wait till the Super Bowl, till after? I mean, typically they can hire whenever they want. They got to go through their process. It's how their interviews are done, and it's a couple weeks. It's not just one interview and boom. It's okay, we got an interview. Now let's talk to these guys and these parties. Now we got to hire. Now we got to do an interview with this guy. Who's the best candidate? So it is a process. Sometimes it does take into the Super Bowl. Sometimes it takes before it. So it really depends on what team and how their process goes and how many people they're looking at as far as candidates. So it's a process, So we'll see. let's hear this question. Let's say Peters leaves. Who do we think is going to replace him, promote for him inside, or go somewhere else? That's a good question. Honestly, man, that is tough because Peters has been such an integral part to this team. You would definitely have to look around the league to see if there's any major candidates out there that can come in and have that impact in terms of scouting. Maybe you do look inside the department and hire within, because there's a lot of executives. Maybe there's a guy knocking on the door that they know can take that next step and be the assistant GM. So that to me is a big question. I think that goes either way. I mean, that's a tough hire, if they do lose Peters, because I think he's been so important for the draft. So I think that one you can go either way. It really depends on the candidates available. Who are they looking towards? Peters is not going to be an easy replacement. So, and you never know. There might be some other changes that are going on in the front office. Who knows what else is going on in the front office. So you never know, because it could be a chain reaction too. Let's say Peters leaves, and then there's another guy in the front office that sees another opportunity. He might leave. So that can open up a big can of worms if a guy like Peters leaves, because he's such an integral part to their front office. Front office changes can really change the complexity of a team. So that's when I hope that doesn't happen. But I mean, every year teams have been trying to get Adam Peters. It could be the year where he leaves. So I don't know. I hope not, because man, he's been such a godsend for our draft picks. Late round, like Talanoa Hufanga, George Kittle, Dre Greenlaw. So many late round picks as Adam Peters and John Lynch together. They just such a good duo there. I think it's a great duo. They need each other. Fios says the only question on the team is Lenore and Hufanga. They have played mediocre the past 4 games. I agree with that. I definitely agree. It's a good point. Lenore has struggled mightily these last couple of weeks. He's young. He's going through growing pains. He's in his second year. Hufanga is also in his second year. Pro Bowl season, hell of a start to the year. He made many big plays. A lot of his instincts are great. But I feel like the last couple of weeks, he just has made some bad looks, some bad reads in coverage. His eyes have been kind of leading him astray, and he's been playing a little aggressive. And Lenore, they've been testing that guy. They're not going to test, Charvarius Ward. They're not going to test Mooney. They know if you throw it to Mooney, he's probably going to PBU or get a pick. And then you got a guy like Jimmy Ward, who every week he's gotten better in the nickel. Why? They're not going to throw it towards him in the slot. And you got Tashawn Gibson, who's so opportunistic. He's been underrated. And, so those right now are the weak links in the armor. They've been good at times this season. Obviously, Talanoa Hufanga has been one of the better players, but he was a reason they won many games, right? And Lenore has strung together a lot of solid games. Both of them are young. They're going through their ups and downs. They're growing pains. And we don't have a lot of depth at cornerback, and in the secondary. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of injuries. Dante Johnson got hurt. Emmanuel Mosley, the biggest injury of the season. And then you had Jason Verrett. He didn't even get a chance because of the injury. Those were 3 monumental injuries. They brought in Janoris Jenkins. He's still kind of getting up to speed with the team. He's a veteran. I'm sure he can pick it up quickly, but they brought him in these last 2 games to kind of give him a little, try to get him up to speed in the playbook and see what he could do. Maybe Jenkins comes in and he could be that cornerback 2. But whoever it is, teams are going to pick on whoever that cornerback 2 is, because they're not want to throw to Mooney Ward. Guy's been money. I call him Money Ward. He's been absolute money, worth every penny. So whoever that cornerback 2 spot is going to have a lot of pressure on him in these playoffs. And Lenore, ain't no doubt about it. He has had a tough time, but he's shown he can be solid at times. So he's young and he's going to be a little inconsistent here and there. He's going to go through his ups and downs. So hopefully Lenore can figure it out really quick, because we're going to need him. We're going to need somebody on that cornerback 2 spot that can step up, because otherwise teams are going to pick on that area. And safety too with Hufanga. He's made some tough plays and he's gotten beat a lot and gave up some big touchdowns. So those 2 guys have to step up. I agree with that comment though. Fido says maybe Hufanga let the hype get to his head and he's trying to be Superman. I mean, maybe that's part of it, because he is playing a little aggressive, but that's just who he is. He's a guy that plays on instinct. Sometimes when your instincts are wrong, you're going to make a big bonehead mistake. And that's the thing. A guy like him, he lives on instincts, and it's either do or die. It's kind of like Diggs out in the Cowboys. Like, he's an instinctual player. He either makes the play and he makes a big play and he gets an interception, or he gets cooked and he gets burned and they let up a touchdown. So it's kind of very similar to me. Is those types of guys that play on their instincts, it's do or die. Because if your instinct is wrong and you cover the play right or wrong, and you take the wrong cut or you take the wrong route, you're going to get cooked and you're going to let up a touchdown. So it's very similar to me. I don't think Hufunga's let the hype get to him. I just think that teams have figured him out and they say, okay, he's going to bite on this every single time. He's got to learn how to stay at bay and not be so aggressive, because I think he has he's just been too aggressive. That's my take on it. And it's not that he's not good, because we've seen him at times this year. Like, oh my God, this guy's all over the place. But he has been a little overzealous. That's a good way to put it. So, let's see. Alberto says, I think if we get the Super Bowl, John will step away and Peter will be the next man up. That might be. Because John Lynch, we know he turned down many opportunities to be a analyst, right? An Amazon analyst, right? Amazon, they gave him big money. They gave him big money. It's big money in that game. But he turned it down because he wanted to continue and he wanted to finish his job he set out to. He wanted to finish the job that he set out to when he became a GM, and is bring a Super Bowl championship to the 49ers. That was his goal. And he's cultivated a great team, a great culture. John Lynch has been so good, man. People give him a lot of crap. I know when he first took over, he wasn't perfect. He made some mistakes. He made some bad draft picks here and there. Some of the players he brought in didn't pan out, but for the last couple of years, man, this guy has done everything he could to put together a phenomenal roster. Look at the teams. Look at this team, man. The depth is crazy. When you get players hurt, the next man up is just as good as the guy that went down almost all the time. Or sometimes better. Brock Purdy's your third string quarterback, and the man's the best quarterback on the roster. It's crazy to me. He was a seventh round pick. Give John Lynch his flowers. He's executive of the year in my mind. Look at it. The offseason was crazy. He brought in 3 solid players for special teams, and they've had to play sometimes on the team through injuries. George Odom, Oren Burks, Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod's kind of stepped up towards the end of the season as an extra little weapon here and there. He's good in special teams as a return man. Field position's been good. And then he brought in, Tashawn Gibson towards the end of the preseason. Jimmy Ward got hurt, so it was like, boom, we got to make a move. And Tashawn Gibson's been so underrated. He went and traded for CMC middle of the season, and that's the turning point. And he's just done so many good things for this team that John Lynch made sure he came back to help this team win a Super Bowl. Now, if the 49ers win a Super Bowl and he accomplishes what he sought out to do, maybe he will leave. And then they could promote Adam Peters, who would be a phenomenal GM. Like, he's the next man up, and the team would be in good hands. But who knows if that happens? Maybe if he gets a taste of that championship, that Lombardi, maybe he wants another piece of that Lombardi. Maybe he wants another one. Maybe he wants to run back. Maybe, who knows what's going to happen. But I think John Lynch has done a phenomenal job. And if he wins the Super Bowl, maybe you're right. Maybe he steps away and then they can promote Peters. Maybe that's what they'll tell him. Like, hey, if we win a Super Bowl, don't leave, Adam. We'll let you be the man. And John can go into the booth. Or maybe they promote him to like president or something crazy. Who knows? There's so many opportunities, possibilities. We'll see how it's going to play out. It's going to be interesting these next couple of weeks. It's always interesting. And then the offseason is going to be crazy, especially if we lose these guys, these coaches. It's going to be an absolute crazy time. And then you got Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. It's going to be a fun couple months. Like, the NFL is never a dull moment, and especially the 49ers. If you cover the 49ers, if you understand the 49ers, if you watch them, if you follow their news, it's always juicy news. It's crazy. Alberto says maybe they all stay and run it. I hope so. But, there's going to be turnover. There's going to be roster change. They can't bring every player back. Coaches leave. Players leave. There's money involved. They got to spend a dime and a dozen. They got to spend a lot of money to get Nick Bosa back. Brandon Ayuk deserves money. It's going to be crazy. Offseason's going to be wild. Jimmy Ward, his interview yesterday was I was kind of sad when I listened to it. I posted on my IG. You guys heard the interview in his locker room, and he says, I feel like I've left a legacy here 9 years. I don't know if I'm going to be back, but I want everybody to know that, I've done my time and I've, helped leave my legacy, and I hope they all remember Jimmy Ward. Like, to me, it doesn't sound like he's going to be back, but you never know what's going to happen in the next couple months, man. And Jimmy's been a solid player, a great, great, great player. This year they asked him to be nickelback, and, at first he was kind of like, whatever, I guess if that's what the team wants to make him happy. And he's worked so hard every week. You could tell he's been grinding film, learning the techniques, and he's become a very solid nickel cornerback in a short amount of time. and he's a traditional safety. So it's nice to see, man. We got so many good players, and I don't know. It's just nice to see, the growth of this team, and it's all because of the front office and coaching staff. We have John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have done a phenomenal job. Here we are, Victory Monday, a couple days away from our next playoff game. It's crazy. They've been with this team since 2017, and we've been in the playoffs for 3 seasons. 2019, made it to the Super Bowl. Last year, we made it to the NFC Championship game, and here we are this year, number 2 seed in the NFC. So we've had a lot of success, if you really think about it. So I don't know. We'll see. John Lynch, if he does leave too, I'd be a little upset because he really has turned this team around. When Harbaugh left, team was done, man. It was terrible. Players left, players retired, coaches like it was gone. It was in shambles. We had no talent. They took over a talentless roster, and in 5 seasons, they've put together probably the best roster in the NFL. It's crazy. That's how you do it, man. We'll see. I don't know. There's definitely going to be some turnover this year, and it's going to be sad. But at the end of the day, before any of that happens, before we get gloomy and cry on a gloomy day outside, we got a playoff game to play on Saturday, and it's about to get lit, man. It's about to be playoff season. 49ers, Seahawks, let's take care of business. And then after that, we got another game in Levi Stadium. And then after that, we got the NFC Championship game, wherever that may be. We'll see. I'm excited. I can't wait. I think we're on a collision course between the 49ers and the Eagles in the NFC Championship. That's my prediction, but we'll see. I got a first-round upset, though. I think Tampa Bay will beat the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Brady's never lost to the Dallas Cowboys, just so you know. Tom Brady has never lost to the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Brady will not lose to the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. That's my prediction. Bold prediction. Tampa Bay will beat Dallas. Tampa Bay will play Philadelphia. Minnesota might. It's gonna be a close game. I think they'll beat the Giants. They'll get a little revenge, but I think they'll beat the Giants. It'll be a close game. Minnesota will play the 49ers in Levi's, and I think the 49ers will beat Minnesota, and it'll be Minnesota versus Philadelphia in the NFC Championship. We'll see. We'll see. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it this week. But yeah, Victory Monday. Let's go. Hyped up. I can't wait. I got to bounce right now. I got to go get my daughter from school, but we'll be live a little later tonight after the NFC Championship, or not the NFC Championship, after the National Championship game. We got the Natty tonight, Georgia, TCU. I don't know who you guys are rooting for. I kind of want to see the underdogs win. I kind of want to see TCU. Tired of the SEC, tired of Georgia. I was hoping that Michigan would have went all the way, but TCU beat Michigan, and I guess I got to root for TCU. They got respect for them. That was a hell of a team. They're underrated. I think TCU. I would like to see TCU win a national championship. That'd be cool, man. Underrated. That'd be a cool school. Cool story. Beat Georgia. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm pulling for TCU to beat Georgia. So we'll see. Anyways, happy Victory Monday. 49ers with the dub yesterday. Real quick before we leave, shout out to CMC. The guy's been a revelation for this team. Unbelievable. Brock Purdy. We all know how good he is. Let's talk about Brock Purdy real quick before I leave. This guy's stats have been crazy since he took over as the 49ers quarterback. Look, check this stat out from NFL on CBS. They posted this today. So since becoming the starter, not the game in Miami, they didn't count this in the stats, but since he became the starter in Week 14, he's number 1 in passer rating in the NFL, 119.0. Number 1 in touchdowns. He's tied for first with 11 passing touchdowns. Passing touchdowns per attempt, he's number 1 with 8.9%. And then passing yards per attempt, 8.85. He's number 1, and he's tied for first in wins, 5. Brock Purdy is literally the number 1 quarterback in the month of December since he's taken over, and in a week of January. This guy has been the truth. He's been the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. The guy is phenomenal. Can he keep it up in the playoffs? I sure hope so. Nick Bosa leads the NFL in sacks. As the season ended, he's the king of sacks. Pause. I know, a little weird. He's dominated quarterback. That's what I think. Total NFL Network, their caption today on their post was like, Nick Bosa is the king of sacks. I was like, pause? What did you just say? But yeah, Nick Bosa led the NFL in sacks, 18.5. The guy's been a beast. DPOY. They better give Defensive Player of the Year to Nick Bosa. If he does it, I'm going to be a little pissed off because this guy has been dominating. Should be in the MVP conversation because he won games for this team. It wasn't just that he led the team in sacks, the NFL in sacks. It wasn't that he just led the NFL in pressures and all these other crazy stats. He won games for the 49ers. He won Defensive Player of the Week a couple times. He won Defensive Player of the Month, last month. Like, the guy has been a stud. Nick Bosa deserves to win Defensive Player of the Year. If he doesn't, we riot. And shout out to George Kittle. This guy has become George Kittle again. Brock Purdy unlocked the man, and he's really been dominating. Yeah, they figured it out. George Kittle in the red zone. That's what we said earlier in the season. I said, if they just get the ball to George Kittle in the red zone, it'll change everything. And Purdy figured it out. He says, look, the guy's open. No linebacker can cover him. Nobody can cover him. Isaiah Simmons thinks he's the George Kittle stopper. He wasn't. Nobody can stop Kittle. You get him in the end zone. He's big. He's tall. He's athletic. He can stretch out for the passes. He's a safety blanket for any quarterback. Young quarterback, they love to throw to the tight end. And Brock Purdy utilizes it very efficiently. He did it in college, and now he's doing it in the pros. And he has made George Kittle relevant again, and I love it. He's a phenomenal blocker like he always is, and now he's going out there, and he's dominating in the passing game. And this is what we love to see. Best tight end in the league, because he doesn't only do it in the passing game, he does it as a blocker, a willing blocker, and he kills it. And he passed Travis Kelce for most passing yards in their first 6 seasons. I think he's like third place now. He passed him for third in the NFL all time in the first 6 seasons. George Kittle, more yards than Travis Kelce in their first 6 seasons. And everybody says Travis Kelce's so much better. So much better. George Kittle doesn't even get the ball thrown to him, and he has more yards than Travis Kelce in first 6 seasons. Smoke on that one. That's all I got to say about George Kittle. Man, the guy's a beast, man. I love him. But, yeah, this team is amazing. Yo, Elijah Mitchell yesterday. Woo! Elijah Mitchell, I'm so happy he's back because he fits this team so well. And Kyle trusts him. For him to come back off the IR twice in one season, it's huge. Kyle trusts this guy with his life. He loves him. I know Jordan Mason's been a solid player, very good, but I think Elijah he's that star. He has the ability to be just so good in this offense, but he's just got to stay healthy. I love that they have Mason. He's so hard work. He's a hard worker. He's such a dominating runner when he runs with purpose. But man, Elijah Mitchell, he's a stud. He can run on the outside zone read. He can catch the ball. And with Mitchell there, he's such a threat that teams have to keep him at bay. And they're like, oh God, if we got to stop Mitchell, then boom, you got CMC who's wide open for the screen passes. And then you're like, oh my God, now we got to account for CMC. And then, okay, you go back to Mitchell running the ball. And then you're like, okay, I got to stop Mitchell. I got to stop CMC. And then boom, Kittle. And then you got Brandon Ayuk. This team, the offense is crazy. 33 points since Brock Purdy has been quarterback. Like, that is a upgrade. And CMC has been the running back too. Like, this offense can carry this team. In the years past, one difference that the team has now is they have an offense that could carry them. Before, it was always the defense, right? And we're like, oh, okay, well, as long as Jimmy doesn't make any mistakes. The offense can carry this team when the defense struggles because they're not going to be perfect every single week. We've seen it. And the defense can, if they can be good enough just to make the big plays when they need it most, and the offense can carry them and score 30 points, teams aren't going to be able to beat this team in the playoffs. So the Niners are solid. They're crushing it. They're killing it. My man Zay says Bosa's going to get paid. He's going to get paid massively, handsomely, whatever you want to talk about. Boy, about to get paid. Anyways, I will see you later. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're back on YouTube. We got to make this a regular thing. We'll do some more later on IG. Big game, TCU, Georgia, the Natty. We'll do some Victory Monday talk a little later on IG. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Monday. I love you. Bang, bang. Nana gang. Russell, last question. Russell says, can we please call Jenkins up from the practice squad? They did this week. He played a little bit. You guys got it. Janoris Jenkins was called up to the active roster, and he did play this week. So we'll see if he continues to be called up, because my prediction is they'll keep him on the active roster because I think they're going to want to make sure they have a little bit of depth at that cornerback spot, especially if Lenore struggles early. They'll make the switch quick. They're not going to sit there and let Lenore get dog walked. They're going to be like, okay, if he's struggling, we'll put in the veteran. So I think they'll keep him on the active roster. They did call him up this week, and he did play. Anyways, I love you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Bang, bang. Nana gang.